Hey everyone, Alec Tackmann here with GoAndPractice Book 2. And today we're looking at page 16, which is the single stroke roll. So this rudiment is it's kind of a special one in that it's by far the simplest one, but it's probably one of the hardest ones to improve upon. And this one is also it's a little bit of a golden calf too, in that a lot of people aspire to have incredibly fast single stroke rolls, and this is coming from a drum set perspective. It's not always what it's all about, meaning sometimes you can spend hours, days, months trying to improve on this rudiment, because it's really cool when someone can play something really fast and you want to be able to do that. And myself included, I'm one of those people. I think it's awesome. But just be careful how much of your time you spend practicing this one, because you can get like much more useful progress off of other things in music, whether it's simply just a different rudiment, a certain kind of groove, your dynamics, your listening, whatever. But that's just a quick disclaimer off the top of this one. That being said, the single stroke rolls are awesome when they're done really fast. It's always a cool thing. And on this page we just have some exercises on how to improve them. So when playing all of these, it's important to have the metronome going. If you're truly trying to gain your speed or improve your speed, you need to chart your progress somehow. You need some tools. So you need a metronome, and I also think having a clock nearby with a second hand helps. So you can actually, if you're say I'm going to practice this for 30 seconds, you got to see that happen. These are also geared towards single stroke roll, or the sense of playing alternating strokes. For whatever purpose. But single stroke rolls also have a slightly more practical purpose, in the sense of if you have to play this, say you're on a drum set and that's the hi-hat part. You gotta be able to do this, that for the entire song. It also does have some value in that sense. Or if you're say you're playing a rock and roll groove, both hands are doing it. Try to play Rock and Roll by Led Zeppelin. He's playing that groove for the entire song. It's brutal on your left hand. A straight shuffle they call also. So anyway, let's get down to it. The first one on page 16 is just the essence of the single stroke roll. Quarters, eighths, 16. They all count. Even though it's called a roll, when we hear the word roll, we usually think that. But this technically is still a single stroke roll, just for definition's sake. Number 2 is the same thing, but with the left hand leading. But number 3 is where we get down to kind of our classic exercises. You'll see these a lot, usually in drumline marching band settings. But these are also just good for messing around. Again, have the metronome rolling while you're doing it, even though I'm not using one right now, but I'll tap my feet instead. So number 3 is a good mixture of the isolated single with dropping in the other hand, filling in the gaps. And getting used to that back and forth. And you can sit and... I messed that one up a little bit. Oof. But anyway, that one you can, extend it. You don't have to do 8s, you can do 16s, whatever. But just, getting used to which hand is actually in charge while you're doing the single stroke roll. I'm usually leading with my right hand when I do it. I don't have really situations ever where I would have to do that with a left, unless you were trying to go backwards up the toms like that. For me personally, that's incredibly difficult, but some people are awesome at it. But let's jump to number 4 here. These are the classic single stroke exercises. Number 4 is just 4 on a hand, 5 is 8 on a hand, 6 is 16 on a hand. You can do these all day, whatever interpretation. So like, the first one, number 4. And obviously you're striving for evenness. You're trying to increase, your metronome marking as you go. Chart your progress. You'd be surprised if, week 1 it's like I'm just at like 88 or something, and then if you just write it down, a couple weeks later you're at 112, and it's really encouraging to actually see progress like that. The metronome will also prevent you from slowing down a little bit on the longer ones. So like number 6, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you sit and do that, say you're going to run that exercise for a minute, you'll find by the last like 15 seconds, it feels like your arm's going to fall off. Endurance is really difficult on this. And if you're not using a metronome, you're going to let yourself slow down a little bit. That metronome's going to keep pushing you along, and that's going to help you obviously improve your time, but a metronome I think will help you increase your speed, which sounds counterintuitive. But the metronome will help you increase your speed because it's propping you up and it's keeping you at what would be something you would normally give up at. Numbers 4, 5, and 6, these type of exercises, they're good, they're really cool. There's, I think, one kind of flaw in this traditional exercise, and that is, if we look at, we'll just take it like an 8 on a hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the idea here is that we're working on the hands separately so we can then combine them. So 8 on a hand, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 becomes 1. We ended on a left. We're usually going to actually have to play the next downbeat after it. So that means we're going to go like that. When I just did that little segment there, this hand did 8 on a hand. This one actually did 9 on a hand because we have to still squeeze out that next downbeat. So what I would think would be a good idea to do on these type of exercises is actually add a flam on every downbeat. So you're having an overlap. So like 4 on a hand is actually 5 on a hand overlapped. And don't worry about like if it's a right flam or left flam or whatever. Just have them both go. So you have. And that's forcing you to push out that extra stroke. And I used to just do like the normal way for a long time, and I found this made a huge difference because it's harder to do than you would think to get that final one out, because it's on a downbeat. It usually needs to be louder. It certainly has to be in time. And then like in a drum set setting, that's when you're going to the crash usually, which there's a bigger jump that you need to make, usually to hit the crash cymbal. It's farther away than where you were playing the roll. And then it just has to have power to it. You don't want to do this big giant like, and then when you get to the crash, there's nothing there. Like the fill is usually build up for the downbeat. So yeah, I think practicing with that overlap is a big help. Also, just like we had talked about in the double stroke roll stuff, like get used to playing it, bouncy surfaces, dull surfaces, don't forget over here. I think doing something like this is way more valuable than a bouncy surface. The bouncy one's fine if you want to get like your French grip happening where you're driving it more with your fingers and getting your twitch happening, but most of the time you're going to need that kind of a single. Yeah, single stroke rolls are tricky. So yeah, they do show up a lot when you want like, you know, flashy fills and stuff like that in the drum set. But also if you're like say a timpani player or a mallet player and you need to have a nice smooth roll, you can't buzz on those instruments. So just being able to do a nice steady roll that's not in time, it's not subdivided at all. It's just you're just freely 1, 2, 3, 4, stop. That's also a very important skill. So yeah, this is one you want to spend a lot of time on. It is very helpful to have. This is a rudiment that for some reason stirs up a lot of controversy around drummers and percussionists. Of you know, if it's like how important it is in the world. But at the end of the day, like it is impressive when someone can play something fast, and it's something that we all like to practice, myself included. So here's some exercises for it. Yeah, again, just like I was saying before, just be careful. Like it's not all there is to it. There's a lot of players out there, unfortunately, I think, who spend too much time on their speed and their technicality, and then they treat it like a sport. You know, how many BPMs can I play this, whatever, and then but they can't hardly even hold down a groove, and it's like, oh, come on. Now, if you can do both, that's awesome. So like, still like, yeah, just keep that in check though. Anyway, let's jump ahead here a little bit. If we look at number 8, we throw some accents in there. These are going to be like little speed bumps for you. This is again kind of to help that idea I was talking about earlier, where you have to push out some power sometimes on like a final stroke or somewhere like that. It could be the end, it could be an accent pattern you're trying to hit, but getting used to like cranking out a good upstroke or downstroke is important. Speaking of upstrokes and downstrokes, if you're in a marching band setting, that's going to be huge. You want to make sure that, like if we hit number 8, your first stroke should be the accent. The one after it has got to be super quiet. You don't want to do this like half accent thing where it decrescendos. It's got to go down immediately. Hit the accent, grip the stick, and leave it down. And then relax immediately. It's hard to do that, but you need contrast in that setting. So anyway, that's you know, a few exercises there in single stroke roll. You can sit and do these on a pad all day, play them on a drum all day, use the metronome. They will show you some results. Other kind of alternate ways to practice this would be, you know, if you're a drum set player, just get used to playing 16th grooves with just the right hand and try to make it through the whole song. I do this myself actually quite a lot as like a warm-up. I'll actually play James Brown, Funky Drummer. It's about a 7-minute song. I can't make it through the entire song, but it's a really fun warm-up to sit and try. And sit and, you know, make that go the entire way. And he's actually putting a little bit of an accent on it through the whole song. And you know, as your hands get worn out, you can try to, one thing you can do to save yourself a little bit of endurance is try to shift from doing fingers to wrist. You're going to get a little bit different sound out of that. But while one's tired, you can work on the other one. But yeah, anyway. Single stroke rolls, they're weird, they're crazy, they're fun to play, but the two things I think I can offer maybe different from the norm is add that overlap to your 8 on a hand type exercises, and the other one is like just play songs that have it somewhere you're actually going to use it, whether it's like a Green Day song where you've got a bunch of single stroke rolls going around the toms and stuff like that, sit and mess with that, or like a type of R&B song like you know, like the Chicken, the Jaco Pastorius song, that's like another one. Playing that through the entire song. You really want to challenge yourself, try play the hi-hat part with the left hand. Led Zeppelin, rock and roll, both hands. it's fun stuff to be able to have, but again, just be careful. It's not what it's all about. So if you got any questions on it, let me know. Thanks for checking out the video. Again, this is Go and Practice Book 2. Check out the other books if you haven't, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thank you.